The woman inserted the key into the lock and gently turned it to the left. As if by magic, the lock sprang to life, and the enchanting ancestral home finally welcomed its new owners. As the family stepped into their ancestral abode for the first time, they were greeted by an ancient guava tree. However, guavas are highly poisonous, and the mother warned everyone not to eat them. He couldn't understand why his grandfather had planted a poisonous apple tree at home. The family curiously surveyed their ancestral home. They discovered a miniature kitchen that was not only fully equipped, but even had a gas connection. However, it was evident that the place had been uninhabited for a long time, with mushrooms growing on the roof. But the secrets of this enchanting old house were far more than that. The mother had recently divorced, so she brought the family back to the ancestral home. This also allowed her to take care of her mentally ill aunt nearby and arrange for James to receive psychological counseling. James was quite satisfied with this arrangement and chose a room as his bedroom. However, there were unexplained scratch marks on the wall, left by some unknown creature. The two brothers didn't give it much thought, but that night, strange things occurred. James was awakened from his sleep by a series of knocks. Frightened, he wanted to wake his brother Simon, but Simon was already fast asleep. So he quietly snuck into his sister's room and grabbed her fencing sword as a weapon. Following the sound, he arrived at the wardrobe. He opened the door and thrust the sword inside. Although there was nothing there, mysteriously, blood appeared on the blade. Just then, the items stacked in the wardrobe scattered across the floor, revealing a terrifying demonic face. Upon closer inspection, it turned out to be a portrait of an ogre signed by his great-grandfather. At that moment, a car stopped on the bridge, and a terrified man stepped out. The dark figure standing on the other side of the bridge was the legendary ogre. Apparently, the man had made a deal with the demon. If he lured the family of 4 into the old house, he could exchange his daughter's life, who had been captured by the demon. But when the father and daughter met, he suddenly realized that his daughter seemed shorter, and even the scars on her face had shrunk. He immediately realized that this wasn't his daughter at all. Unexpectedly, at that moment, a large hand suddenly reached out from under the bridge and grabbed the man into the river. It turned out that a troll beneath the bridge had heard the noise and came to feed. The approaching ogre transformed into the man's appearance. The two demons continued to address each other as father and daughter. Their purpose for this trip was to find the field guide written by the boy's great-grandfather in the old house. Soon, the two arrived at the man's home. To their surprise, as soon as they turned on the lights, they were recognized by a pet cat. Immediately after, they heard the female neighbor knocking on the door. It turned out that she was looking for her lost cat. At this point, the daughter was truly hungry and wanted to taste fresh human blood. However, at the critical moment, her father stopped her. It turned out that their target was every person in the entire town. The father had heard that there was an egg in town, and if they had it, they could devour the souls of all the people. This way, they could sustain their long-term needs. The little kitten in front of them could only be considered a small dessert.